Hello, hello, welcome everyone to Yakety Yak Campaign 2 Talkback. um, Glad to be here. Um, this is the majority of the current Campaign 2 cast, minus JMO, Chadwick Plinth, formerly known as Tadreamy Strongjaw, because a lot has happened since our last Talkback. So I thought just to make this a little bit easier for our brains, um, and just kind of uh, talk about pretty much whatever we want. And we can just kind of vibe, see where the conversation goes, see what's going on. But before we get into like any questions I have, I want to get you up at the top here. I want to get your brains going. I want to see if you came in with any thoughts. Does anybody just have any thoughts about anything? Campaign 2.
Anything.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah? It's
I
good.
miss it.
I miss it too. It's been 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. It's been a
Which I think is the
while.
longest gap since like in between campaigns. Like
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just, super brief recap for the players and the viewers. But after our last talk back, where we stopped, picked back up 15 after a time jump from Mask Manor. And then our party went to cover Lavaria and see there in the wood. My players are not paying attention, sharing jokes and gifts, and this is what you deal with as a game master.
That's not true. That's not true. We'll start.
But then you all went to Barrington, found out what was going on there. The city was taken over by Chad and the vampires, and then you went to Lavaria and met the Pintui family, and also were met with warriors from another continent. You met
Bunch of
Atticus,
nerds.
and you met Kelphi. You met a descendant of Avra. Entrusted you, Pin. And then after that, you shortly after that, you went to Bayhoff for just a little brief stint where Morton died. And,
if I have to hear about that
Casual.
one more time,
Well, if you'd saved my life, we wouldn't have this problem.
and then you all went to Old Gora, or New Gora, I guess I should say, Gora Hold, Flint Boulder Bender town, which was where you discovered that. I mean, you all knew it deep down inside anyway, but that's where you discovered that Flint not as big of a deal. However, that's also where you banished Bane back further into. You also met the Slayer 6 there, a rival adventuring party. Then the Queen was assassinated. You kind of got involved in that plot. You met up with Mattia Corvo, who was an ambassador from Bayhoth City, who turned out ended up being Sindrak the Nightmare, and was a ancient dragon that you fought before being kind of rescued by your old party member Morton, who is now a vampire.
Thank God I died.
And then after that, you eventually found yourselves back in Barrington, where the party defeated Chad's twin Sonny and basically ended the war between Bayhoth and Tayaroth. That's also where you killed Wolfram. And then we jumped forward 3 weeks. Everybody was doing a bunch of stuff. Rosie was hanging out with her family and reconnecting with Gilmarie. Maywin was out with her boy and Batty in the woods. Flint was actually becoming quite a celebrity in Gora Hold. Quinn was doing lots of drugs and running a business in Bayhoth. Morton went on a definitely what should probably be like a one-on-one one-shot one day of just like a game of a bunch of vampires.
I burned them all in a home. No
Yeah,
worries.
you burned them all in Wolfram's old home. And then you all reconnected at a ball that became under attack by six that were empowered at normal capabilities. Where basically you learned that, taking care of quite a few things and saved probably arguably all of Tayaroth, from lots of potential antagonistic events. But there was still something unfinished. Primordial hearts were hunted, and get involved in that. That's also where we met Elise Leander, played by Michael, who is one of the trusted bodyguards. You all then went south to Fishar, had a little vacation day, also ran into the older Silver Steps, and there was some closure there for the Step Twins. Faced their parents, saw them to be like individuals, and start. You then contracted a ship and started heading toward I. In between all of this were wishes and fates used, and creepy creatures met, and all kinds of stuff. But the very last thing that we had happening was heading to the jungle. Not Achilles. Another
Mud.
character, Mud. Another new character played by Eric, because Quinn was currently unconscious. And so we don't have that resolved yet, but that's everything that's happened since the last talkback. A lot of stuff. Now that I've kind of like briefly brought that up, out to you, any events that you enjoyed, any plot lines that were fun for you, or that you want to know more?
Just Flint's weird penis.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we
it's pretty
gotta-
much established at this point.
God.
Yeah, but there's details.
This is a talkback. Matt, why do you think, genuinely, I want you to try to genuinely answer this question.
Okay, to the right.
Why? Okay.
Take it back now, y'all.
And thanks for joining us.
I'm gonna clip that. And Matt, genuinely, why do you think Flint's sexual promiscuity has been just involved at all in public conversations? Like, why do you think that has happened?
Incredible question.
Like, is it all a bit? Is it all a bit, or is there something there for?
More than a bit.
There's something there for Flint. I
Yeah.
think he's, he became an adventurer to, prove himself, because mostly he was, in his daily life before this, he was kind of passive and inept and a little on the fringe, but there's a part of him that liked that. There's no responsibility in being incredibly passive and just kind of going with the flow. So but of course he's trying to take charge of his life to become an adventurer, but I think that side of him is still a demon that he's trying to tackle.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, wow, that was a much more of a nice answer than I thought I was. I thought you were just gonna say, yeah, it's all. Angie.
Oh no.
Something has been happening.
It's a bit.
Something has been happening with Rosie last 20 episodes. Which seems to be kind of our 20 episode talkback. And Rosie started off as one domain, Eric, and she now I would say transition to a new one, but maybe be turned to an old one. Talk about that. Talk about the switching of the domains, what Rosie's personal journey been ever since everything has happened? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we had talked early on about, I guess not early, like, at the beginning of the campaign, but, like, as the time went on, there was kind of a change in, like, you know, why does a mom who's just been, like, a little church mom go and adventure with people? And so, like, Rosie started as the light domain, and as, you know, things are happening to her, and as things are happening to these people that she kind of loves and is, like, starting to, like, build a family around, you know, it changes a person. And then when you, like, your whole family is slaughtered, or, like, a large portion of your family is slaughtered, you know, that changes a person.
At the fault
turns
of
out
someone else in your.
at the fault of someone else, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like the catalyst of, like, whoa, oh god, she isn't going to come out of this quite the same. But actually the backstory that I now have for Rosie, or that Rosie has, kind of was developed after the initial incident. So yeah, I mean, she's now in the war domain, which sometimes feels a little bit more in line with her, and definitely is easier mechanically to kind of play in a campaign setting. And for a while there was, like, a sense of freedom in that a little bit. Also, weirdly, sorry, this is just fun, Emily, like, went like this out of frame just as Michael went like this, and on my screen they're right next to each other, so I thought that Emily pushed Michael. But yeah, I mean, I have thought about, and it's funny because I don't think we've ever talked about this, Zach, of, like, Rosie going back to light domain, or, like, what is the, like, middle ground there, because it is starting to feel like she's really resistant to this violence and this chaos that she, you know, had a life in, left it, and now she's trying to find some kind of, like, common happy ground of both of the things. And I don't know where that will be or what that is, but it is really fun to go into every session being like, is Rosie gonna be really aggro today, or is she gonna be, like, a little bit more reserved and supportive?
And within that personal growth, there's also been, you know, tension and relief, and tension and really kind of a back and forth between Rosie and Gilmarie. Kind of have any thoughts about their current state and them?
I didn't, and then it kind of just, like, I think out of the story started happening, and I think, you know, everybody, it's interesting, like, Quinn has had a love reestablished, and Maywin has found someone, and Flint and his penis, and Morton and Chad, and Morton and Achilles, and Morton and every NPC, and, you know, it's just like it's interesting to be the one who has had, like, the stable partner for so long, and then to be gone the 15 years, and then to be back. And my first question was, oh, in that 15 years when Gilmarie thought I was dead, did she, like, move on? And then she didn't. And I don't think Rosie really knows what to do with that, because so much has changed, and she's changed. And
do you think that Rosie? Do you think that there was a part of Rosie that would have moved on?
I don't know. Yeah. I think initially not. I think I as a player was like, oh my god, I didn't even think about this. And so I was, like, really anxious about it. And then when she said she didn't, I was like, huh.
Kind of like that thing where you, like, have two options of something you want to do, and you flip and then you get the result, and then you're like, oh, but wait, maybe that's not what I wanted this entire time.
Yeah, and now she's on the trip with them, and so but then now they're at their, like, least close, and it's like, I don't really know what to make of it. And like, I mean, I've had, like, my own relationship turmoil personally, so it's like, what is this? What is happening?
And then it's so
like...
surprising it's so surprising that Rosie is having this like back and forth with it, and yet when Gilmarie showed any amount of attraction to
Yeah.
so it's been fun to see.
I think Rosie needs a therapist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think Rosie has been everybody else's. I think for sure.
Yeah.
I think Rosie has been everybody else's therapist for a long time. I mean, we literally make a joke about it. So I think it's makes sense. Well, we can talk about every character in depth a long time, and I have more questions for Rosie, but to get everybody else.
Yes.
Another question. Eric, obviously one of the things that Quinn has been dealing with the most in these last sessions has been drug problem. And yes, I will. And you as a player, a two-part question for you. One, did that come from a purely role play standpoint? Was that something that you were just like, I feel like this is what you do? Was it something that you as a player were just kind of interested in exploring? Like, what made you kind of make that decision for Quinn? One, and then two, the second part of the question is like kind of like, what are your thoughts on that current journey and what's going to maybe happen for now that he's reached what some would say maybe a breaking point? So yeah, those are the two parts of that.
It's definitely not going to help his like separation issues with May. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. That's not gonna be any better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think every time I've played D&D with you, my character has always just been looking for fun drugs to do. Every campaign that we've done, because you've just come up with some fun things.
Yeah.
So every character will probably do some drugs eventually that I make.
Yeah.
But Quinn definitely. I made a conscious effort to like keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Because he definitely wants to forget things that have happened, and I think that's the main reason why he kind of pushed the envelope with it.
Not cope.
Yeah. Especially when you describe the feeling as like a nothingness almost, then I was like, okay, yeah, he's gonna do this until it becomes a real problem.
Yeah. I was interested. I mean, but to be honest, I think like especially out of all the characters, I don't think it. And and also just because it really ties into the whole like, I mean, he's kind of a goober about it sometimes, but like he is an artist. He's an artist and he creates music and that is trope that is often
tortured artist.
The tortured artist, and I think that's kind of fun to see him. I feel like that. So that's been really but how do you think that you don't have to say it because we haven't gone to it yet, but do you feel that like is some, you don't have to say what's going to change, but is something going after what just
I mean, I think it would have to, or else I wouldn't be playing D&D properly in my eyes. So it'll definitely have an effect on him. I don't even maybe know what that is yet, but we'll see kind of in the moment what happens. But yeah, for sure, it'll change his outlook on some things.
Well, I feel like we can't talk about Quinn without talking. And so Maywin,
his better half.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about May, and we'll come. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about with May, and we'll come back to some of it, but. Tying in with Quinn, Eric touched on the separation, but how has Maywin, what's specifically through these past 20 episodes, what are your thoughts on May's journey specifically as it goes?
I think that honestly, like May has had a little bit of an identity crisis. I mean, I think that like Zach, you and I talked off stream about like when Quinn was unconscious, and I was like, if Quinn dies, I'm gonna have to seriously think about making another character, because I think that May is with this party and adventuring around the world with her brother, and he's the only reason why she's not just like in the woods living her best life with all the animals. So I think having Quinn not in the picture or having to think about the possibility of him not being there has made her really like have to stop and think about like why she's doing this in the first place.
Why do you think Maywin hasn't? Because I would say argue Rosie has really gained connection. Like, use them. I mean, there's been multiple conversations between Rosie and where her party is referred to as Rosie's family. And so, what do you think? Not that, I mean, obviously Maywin does have a strong connection with them, but I don't think it has gone as far as being a second family. She's maybe said that, but I don't know if she necessarily feels that way. Like, what do you think is stopping May from basically, if something were to happen to Quinn and not to be around, what is it about the rest of the party that would not keep?
I think that Maywin has a hard time feeling like very connected to people. Like, even if she thinks that they're her friends or whatever, like even their group of friends back home, like she still really has only ever felt like Quinn is the person who like ties her to family. So I don't know. It's interesting. Like May and Rosie had some moments at the beginning of the campaign, and then I feel like Rosie had to deal with some shit, and May had to deal with some shit, and something happened there where they never like meshed in the way that I definitely thought that they would. So I mean, I do think that like if Quinn wasn't in the picture, May would think about it more than she would with most other people, and she probably would still want to like see them and stay connected with them, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like she sees this group as friends. She probably doesn't think that they see her as family deep down, and so that kind of keeps her from feeling that way about them.
It's interesting that you say connecting with people. Well, one, obviously, funny conversation, very awkward, but also just in her ability to form connections that last. Like, even with Leif, you know, someone that she courted, basically, and wanted to be with, now they are together, and she's almost dismissive of it. You know, and it's like, that's an interesting, and I don't even know if that was a conscious decision by you to make it, you know, it's hard for her to form these connections, but even someone arguably that she, like, actively wanted to have a connection with, find that motivation herself to make.
I think that she would have to find somebody like in that sense who is as connected with nature and animals as she is. She spent a lot of her childhood just like in the woods, not with people. And so like people are not necessarily the things that she feels the most comfortable around, you know? I think that if May ever found some like another druid or like somebody who lived in the woods and, you know, lived amongst the animals, she could probably find that connection. But somebody who's like a city guard and is tied to being in a city all the time, like
even if it's a wood elven city.
Yeah, that's just not going to work.
Still a big city.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's funny because me and Emily have really never talked about it, but like that is pretty much exactly how Quinn feels as well. Like if anything happened to May, like Quinn would be gone the next day.
Yeah. As cute as the connection between Sydney has been, it's clearly nothing like I mean, obviously here's different. Like compared to like Rosie and Carrie, like deep down I feel like even though Rosie and Carrie are having issues right now, and who knows what's actually going on, my gut makes me feel like they're going to out and they're, you know, it's just like one of those types of couples. But Sydney and Quinn, and honestly, I don't think that it's from and I don't think that that's something that bothers Sydney the way that she's played with me either. I feel like doesn't mind gone. I mean,
gone for 15 years.
Yeah, the 15 years was a bit much, but I think other than that, you know, she's her own woman, finding her own stuff, and been finding stuff with the tiny assistants.
Wolverines. Oh, that's right. The little helpers.
Yeah, the little helpers.
Little helpers. I think
Um,
that in a weird way, like as much as Quinn is the one that ties May to the group, he's also maybe the reason why she hasn't connected with the group. Because like Quinn's always at odds with everybody in a way.
yeah,
And May's always a little bit stuck between like, I love you guys, but this is my brother and I'm going to defend my brother,
yeah.
you know? And so I do feel like for certain people, it probably has kept May from like making those connections.
Yeah. However, I do feel like Quinn's actions
Oh, 100%.
okay, well, moving and get involved. Evan, obviously, running bit talks about death.
Don't say it, man.
Not just one, his 2 deaths.
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about it. So obviously you had the one in Sildira, but that you were not gone long and you were brought back, but then you had the death where Morton became a vampire and that affected him a lot more, obviously.
Yeah.
So my one question that has 2 parts for you is, how does Morton feel now that Wolfram is dead and gone, but he still has this touch of him through the Emperor's? And so, like, how does he just kind of feel in general about that whole thing? And also, as much as you're willing to divulge, what are Morton's plans with the continuation of this?
Oh yeah, no, he's mad as shit.
Yeah.
I think because the last thing that the last time he saw Wolfram, he was also under Wolfram's control in that moment. So he was really upset that he was dying, like sad for him. And that is just the worst feeling that he could have had at that moment. Because he wanted.
Yeah, it was a very narratively. Yeah, that was a gut punch of a moment. Like, when you're reading a book or when you're watching a movie, you want an anti-hero who's back for revenge. You want him to get that final blow. And yet, what ended up happening through the story of the battle is that, had, like you said.
Yeah.
That's a gut punch.
Yep. And then he felt sad that he was dying. And then he got mad once he was out of the control that he was like, I felt sad for this son of a bitch because he did this one more time and now I'm stuck with this. Yeah. I think shortly thereafter, he just straight up murdered one of the other people in the room.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was like, oh, you? Yeah, you. And then
I think it was Roderick. I think it was Roderick Billwright.
Yes.
One of the people you met.
Maybe that was in the battle because I know he stabbed somebody. Yeah. I don't know if he killed him. Yeah, but yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
He's like, that was the last thing he did. So he feels wildly unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And stuck with this. Because I think if he had done it, he would have been like, well, now I can be a little smarter about it and get it out in a way. But now he was unfulfilled and
there's a lack of clue.
He's still stuck with it. So he's like, well, you son of a bitch. Yeah. This is what you did to me. And I hate it. And so he's on that. And I think his plans with it, I think he will eventually rid himself. Like, that's his plan, is to rid himself.
Do you think that because he didn't get that final kill on Wolfram, ridding himself of the vampire is now his own way to kind of, like, get back at him?
Pretty much, yeah. Because I think if he had killed Wolfram and not been, like, sad about it, because he wouldn't have been, he probably would have tried to get the other vampires together to try and cure them all.
Yeah.
But he had no control, and so he lost his marbles, and he's like, they're the reason that I'm like this. Yeah. So he blamed every other vampire that he could get his hands on. And he's like, oh, it's a good way to get rid of all of them at once? Sit them in a fire, lock them in, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we very briefly jumped over it because time jump. Super dark. Super crazy, super manipulative and weird. Yeah.
Yeah, he went, because at the beginning of the campaign, he was like he had like done some combat, but mostly like stage combat because he traveled with like a theater troupe and did a bunch of shit like that. But like his first instance of like death came when the who came after us? It was for Rosie.
Green Snake.
Green Snakes
that were hired by the Hangman.
Yeah, they came after, and like that was his like first. And he was like, "Oh, I don't like it," and he like really tried his best not to, unless it was like a creature like a skeleton.
Yeah,
he really did his best to not do any of that, and then because of the turning into a vampire, being forced to do horrible things because he had no control over it, he just like developed this bloodlust, that just it's become a part of him because he's dealt with all of these horrible things and he has done horrible things. So it's like well, now my worldview is, well, this is how I solve my problems now. And so that's why he's gone in this dark direction, because of, somebody who put him in a position and taught him all of these things without the ability to resist to do those horrible things.
Yeah.
And even though it was like 2 weeks that he was doing that, I mean, it was night and day, mostly night because vampire, but night and day, traumatic experiences without being able to stop them.
Yeah, it's I mean, Morton's definitely. I do feel like it's like I said, it's a bit that complains about. He has a right to complain. He's definitely not had a good go of it.
He's like, listen, man, I just ran away from my parents because I hated the rich lifestyle and how they're benefiting, and now here I am, fucking. Yeah. There was a fleshy golem fucking thing that just killed my friends like 4 times. Maybe there was another reality where we all got torn in half by a kraken. Who fucking knows? This is bonkers, guys. Also, I died twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're never gonna hear Quinn talk about it, I
think. Well, Matt, the first time you say something, we all yell at you.
Well, Matt, I'm not gonna count your, so I want to ask you.
That's half of Flint's character
arc. I want to ask you.
It is an arc.
It does look like an arc.
It is a hard arc.
All right. God, it's like Radiant Children. Yes. Matt, what was it like meeting your family? Having your son not only become like an NPC in the game, but then join the party for a hot minute, and then now is off adventuring and meeting your ex-wife and dealing with that. And what was that like going to Warhold and meeting those characters from the backstory? And then also, what was it like having your travel with you?
Yes, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was fun to play against Shale because when I was thinking of Flint's character, I was really trying to delve into the divorced dad angle of kind of like he's out of touch. He's not really that good of a dad. Like, Shale's doing a lot of cool things in his life, and Flint just has no, or at least has no idea what it was and is frustrating him. And I enjoyed playing the gradual acceptance of that. That was cool because Shale's a good kid. I like the way you played him. It's impossible not to like him. He's just kind of enthusiastic and then of course.
Well, and I think it also, just briefly to touch on that, I think it also highlights what I was trying to highlight there. What I thought was interesting is that, like, obviously there's some deadbeat dads out there. However, a lot of the times, even when a dad is like not the greatest dad, not there often, even through all that, their child just does nothing but love them. Forgiving in that way. So it was interesting, I agree, to kind of like, Flint doesn't probably deserve the amount of adoration Shale is giving him, but he's giving it to him. How is he going to tackle that? How is that going to change him? And I think it's changed him better in my.
Oh yeah, undeniably, for sure.
Yeah. And then he joined you.
and then yeah, he joined. That was fun. It was I think that flipped the switch in Flint's mind because he I mean, he was a little reckless, I think, as the you're joining our party and then like throwing you into very dangerous situations.
He almost died in
But
his first battle.
yes, but to Flint, this is like the only way that he knows how to connect to his son is to, because he's adventurer now, and this is his way of like seeing the world. So, I mean, I don't think Flint was obviously concerned about the well-being of his son, but mostly concerned about his son seeing how cool he is.
Yeah. It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. And I was careful not to make Flint like a terrible, terrible deadbeat father, but just ignorant.
Yeah.
And
you rode the line well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate, and I think that Flint appreciates that, Shale was giving him love even when I think Flint knew he didn't deserve it, and I think that grew to him and made him realize the part of him that was missing.
Yeah, and I think it led to I think a moment that kind of encapsulates all that, and it happened early on in the sessions too, but we saw Flint kind of humorously but also dark way using that cursed staff over and over again to age himself, and it kind of led to that nice moment where you're riding through that minecart just like having a blast with your son and you just drop it off. I like that kind of
Yeah, that staff was fun because I mean the drawback is it's kind of devastating, but I enjoyed that Flint in his like moment of fatherly depression would turn to that as some morbid means of escape, like I don't have to deal, if I'm older, I don't have to deal with things for as long, which is obviously morbid.
I did want to ask about that. So is that what it was? Was it the fact that he was trying to even subconsciously like bring himself to a quicker death? I always wondered like because he's a dwarf, so it's like if he's trying to kill himself this way, it's gonna take a hot second. And so I was wondering, like what was Flint's motivation? Was it self-flagellation? Was it, and it kind of seems like
yeah. It was it was
what?
We've all seen Flint self-flagellate before. I think we've all seen it at this point.
He loves
Morton for sure saw it.
I'm bringing out fucking like 60-minute style interviewing here, and you guys are just like really
the way you use that staff. Wow.
Yeah, like I like that there is some shame in using the staff. Like, I thought it was fun to be like, never do it in public. Always go to like the bathroom to use it. It's something that like for some weird reason makes Flint feel better, even though against all threads of logic it should not. And I was thinking about, am I gonna have this staff forever? Am I gonna continue doing this? But that moment with Shale I thought was the best moment, even though mechanically that's a good staff. I should have kept it.
You could have at least sold it for some gold.
Yeah, but I think it served its usefulness, and I did like that moment.
How much did you age?
I think a total of
let's see, I wrote this down on my care. Yes, actually, well, with the 15 year
which
gap,
doesn't count.
Which doesn't count. I am 31 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is like for a dwarf, the human equivalent of that would be like aging a couple, 2 or 3 years rapidly, which is crazy. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being patient, sitting there.
We ran out of
questions. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to bump you. So my first question to you, I think, is an obvious question, which is like, how did it feel coming into such a well-established, like 40 episode length party with a brand new character. How was that?
I think had I known how long I was going to stick around, I would have felt more pressure.
Yeah.
But because it was advertised to me as like, hey, in 12 hours, do you want to hop on the stream for like 2 weeks? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll throw a character together with literally no backstory.
Yeah.
Sure. So like there wasn't any like intimidation going into it. I mean, I watched the streams, so I knew it was going on.
Yeah.
To an extent. Yeah, I mean, it mostly felt fine. And then now, like, as I'm still hanging out, I'm like, oh, I need to like think about stuff.
I mean, I can kill you if you want me to.
No, I'm happy as, but it's
happy. He's happy to do it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's been and that's kind of a fun situation to be in, and like weird but also fun that you kind of discover the character as. I put you definitely at a weird. It's been. I would love if JMO were here so that we talk about this. It's weird to have a member of the party that is. That is a strange dichotomy there, and then for you to come in with an established relationship as with a direct superior, that's something interesting to tackle. So as you have discovered Achilles, what do you think about him? What kind of character do you think he is? There's that. There's obviously a dedication to his job, so much so that he had what was. And then also we have this kind of subplot of Achilles and Morton going on. So what do you think?
Subplot is right.
Oh my god.
Right.
So what do you think is going on with Achilles?
I think it's this weird thing of he's simultaneously like stuck on a work trip with his boss that he wasn't expecting. He's like, because I think him and Chad just had a very like professional relationship up until this point. So getting to know Chad as a person is definitely interesting. But I think he's as far as like who he is as a person, I think he's just a genuinely good guy, and he wants to help everyone all the time as much as he can. And that weighs very heavily on him, as do other things that I'm sure will come up later. But I think one of the best things about this is that he's now surrounded by people kind of for the first time. Namely, I mean, not to like immediately go to the example, but with Morton in particular, that are for no reason, they have no reason to, but they are all like very supportive of Achilles. And it's kind of the first time he's been forced to be like, oh, maybe I am like an okay person. Because before this, like the main support systems he had in his life were his parents. And he just kind of thinks, oh, well, they're your parents. They have to, say good things about you. So sure, but that doesn't really count. And then Morton in particular has been really instrumental in being like, no, you're actually like you're fine as you are.
Yeah.
So
kind of like when you're in your town and everyone's telling you something and it goes.
Yeah. So I think he's just slowly becoming an actual more confident person.
I'm excited to see. Okay, so we've talked, we've had the philosophical act. Let's talk about like specifics of things that have happened. Is there anything that happened that you really enjoyed, or an NPC that you met? Is there something that you wish we could have explored more? Something that you maybe want to come back to? Is there any events or people that you met that
the first drug trip in fucking where were we?
The desert city.
Sildira. Yeah, that technically happened in the first 20 episodes. Yeah.
Oh, did that really?
Yeah. Because that was right before the time jump.
Never fucking mind.
No, but I mean, yeah. The flowers.
No, those flowers, and they've crept up a couple times.
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
I still have a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I still have some of all the flowers.
You and Sydney partake
in
some?
We're gonna throw those down the toilet, buddy.
Hey, the flowers are fun, man. Don't get rid of my flowers.
That's fair.
I have two.
Yeah.
That stick out to me. One, Edmund's explosion at the whole party.
Yeah.
When they were trying to strategize saving Chad.
Yeah.
Because it affected like Rosie a lot. But I think just the way that it affected everybody kind of individually, and to have it's really, because like obviously I think it's really cool that you are playing Edmund, and so you kind of have some it's a pushing moment, right? You as a DM are using this as a catalyst to push us into action or reaction or whatever, which like is a cool thing.
Yeah.
But also it is I just thought it was such a good moment of like how everybody reacted to it, and how Edmund reacted to it, and how it's continuing to affect the like party's dynamics. And now especially with the separation of like Chad and Edmund kind of being in their own world, and us being like the peons of the kind of breakup essentially. And yeah, I just think it's cool. It's a cool dynamic to play. The other one is I thought the confrontation with the Silverstep parents was like a really cool moment, because as we were going back in the recap, I was like, oh yeah, it was like a small, maybe like not even half of a session. It was
like an
just
hour.
But just how much character growth came from May and Quinn, instead of just like flat out hurting them or killing them or like ridding them. They were like, you've got this amount of time to get out of here before we stick the cops on you, was like just so captivating. I just thought that was such a cool.
I think a lot of that was because the power dynamic had completely shifted. Like in the past, it was like, they're so powerful, we have to get rid of them. Whereas at that point, it was like, wow, they're like helpless.
Without their money, they don't have anything.
Yeah, now we're just deciding whether we're going to like kill our parents in cold blood.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even know if you guys, I don't think you did this brain consciously, but the way you punish the Silversteps, which is really what the twins were beginning, they were back at their parents for their childhood. The real way to do that is to not go it directly, because it just probably wouldn't be satisfying. What is satisfying is taking away. And that's what you did by ending the war, by ending the Animalia. By doing that, you took away that power that they had, and then they were just left in halfling, with like barely any name. And it's weird that, and I was wondering how you guys would feel about that, because it was out 4-hour combat session between parents. It was a conversation.
I didn't think our parents were ever like, I mean, I know they were part of an adventuring party, but I never thought of them as like magical beings.
Yeah, no, they're just people.
I never, so it was cool to have like a resolution without just killing something. So I really like that.
Going back to the first thing that Angie said, I genuinely want to ask this. What's y'all's beef with Edmund? What is it?
Well, really just use that.
That's all I don't have one.
That's why we're meeting today.
Because yes, there was the blow up, but before the blow up, even Quinn hated Edmund. Flint has never once enjoyed Edmund.
So to explain Flint's actions, I mean, I think Flint is like, I'm in an adventure party. I got these cool abilities with the stone. And then Edmund's like, I got the same stone. Fuck you. But but I think I mean I don't even think the big blow up really changed Flint's opinion, but I think he's okay with Edmund generally.
I think Flint is just basically very indifferent. Like I think if Edmund just up and croaked, Flint would be like, no, like keep going. About his life, you know?
A little bit more of reaction to that. Yeah.
I think Morton likes Edmund, but during the blow up when he was like, hey, let's try and use God power as mere mortals without thinking twice after we didn't think twice for several like pullings of the card. He was like, bruh.
Yeah.
Come on. So like when he drew the sword and was like, wait, hold your horses now.
Yeah.
He's like, I know what irrational people do because I've been one.
Yeah.
Don't do anything stupid. But he likes Edmund. I mean, he had conversations with him after that.
Morton and Maywin have been very nice to Edmund. Since that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Since that happened,
I know.
It's very clear why Rosie doesn't like Edmund. That's very clear. Edmund said some mean things to Rosie, maybe some truthful things.
For no reason.
Some mean things.
Here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. So, Edmund was trapped in this little body of this guy. He was a little changey guy.
Yeah.
And we saved him and we freed him or whatever, and then he pledged his loyalty to me. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you, that's really beautiful. And I'm gonna appreciate that, and thank you for doing that. Rosie never once asked him to. That was just a choice he made. And so she tried to appreciate it. She tried to do whatever, but she wasn't the whole party saved him. The whole party saved it. Why this moment? And so I think the beef that Rosie has with Edmund, outside of what Edmund has said, is that he continuously just doesn't acknowledge all of the things that are done for him or in his honor or whatever. Not even by who cares about Quinn and who cares about Flint, and their indifference, but he's in the party. He's in the party. He's in the party, and he came along, and we were like, yes, come along. Obviously we saved you. And so to have him then be like, why don't you fucking take care of your own kids? Or why are you fucking babying them? You pushed yourself to me, my guy.
No, for sure. No, I mean, Edmund clearly
you decided that you wanted my attention, and then when I don't give it to you for 2 seconds because 900 other things are happening, you're gonna have the audacity to tell me.
Yeah.
Edmund told me to stop worrying about everyone else and take care of my own children. He's dead to me. He's absolutely fucking dead to me.
You have receipts.
We can't see him.
Edmund clearly has
squares in between that.
Yeah, Edmund clearly has some untalked about mommy. For sure.
But I just think it for me, and then for me as a player, I was like, what were we doing to Edmund? Were we this mean and bad to Edmund this whole time?
Some of you were.
Quinn.
Some of you certainly were.
But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not any more mean than they were to Morton or to how mean.
Can you imagine if Edmund?
For sure. I, as a person, am not justifying Edmund's actions. Edmund is a ridiculous.
Yeah.
I am speaking on
Is he human?
Huh?
Is he human?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember if he actually was or not.
Just normal.
That's
dude.
how little you think about him.
But,
you know if he's a human or not.
But Zach, you're not wrong that what he said might be right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did right, but fuck, he's right at the end of that receipt.
Now, Michael, my question to you is it just a bit? Or why does Achilles not like it?
I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, okay, cool. Hey, I love it.
Listen,
Sometimes things are just a bit.
Listen, you know me, you know that I go way too hard on backstory. And so when I had literally nothing in that quick minute, I was just making shit up and I was like, yeah, sure. Why not?
You gotta go where the heat is.
I think
now that things have kind of settled down, he's now has a better rapport with Edmund, because I think he now feels bad for him a little bit.
Yeah. But... Well, I think that actually touches on what I was thinking. I think if we were going to assign a narrative to it, I think it's pretty like maybe Achilles kind of finds Edmund to
that's how I think this started. Is I think especially working under Chad for so long, seeing like it's very. Sorry, have you ever had those friends and they're like gassing up their significant other, and then you meet that person and you're like,
Yep.
I don't understand why you need to call any of us out on the stream, me in particular.
It was just, I think, one of those things for him where he was like, oh, well, it's the king's like that's their partner, okay? And I was like, this is
and then this fucking turd walks in.
I think it's a little bit of that.
Does Quinn's hatred only stem from Maywin?
That's how it started.
Yeah.
He hurt Maywin, so he was dead to Quinn.
Yeah.
And then I think Quinn just genuinely does not like Edmund.
That's so funny to me. But
he doesn't see him as part of the group.
I know. Because the only time Quinn ever enjoys Edmund is when Edmund does something badass in combat.
Yep.
That's the only time is when he's like being powerful that Quinn's like, all right, you earned my respect for this.
So what happens if Edmund is the one who like fully brings you out of your drug-induced coma?
I don't think it would change their dynamic at all, if I'm being honest. I don't know if there's anything that could.
Everyone is around is like, Edmund almost like had to, like, he cut off his right arm and it's like, this was what it was needed.
He should have cut off his left.
Well, and I also think it's I think ever since that moment in the forest, and then Edmund has kind of gone on his apology tour, and I think that correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that turns off Quinn even more.
Oh, yeah.
Like the fact that Edmund,
apology guy.
Yeah, the fact that Edmund needs Quinn's approval is something that makes Quinn never want to.
At this point, Quinn isn't like actively like thinking negatively about.
He's not
Edmund,
actively
unless
doing
when he
right now.
Unless when he opens his mouth, he is. But it's just he doesn't really think about him.
Yeah, I think Quinn would respect Edmund the most if Edmund did what Quinn.
Absolutely.
I think that's.
But even then, he would find some other reason to
bitch
about him.
Zach, I have a question for you.
Please.
Because I've been really curious how you came. At what point did you decide that Achilles was going to be chosen and that it was going to be Ilmater? Because that was my first session.
Yeah. I knew that because you were joining the campaign. As soon as I knew that was happening, I knew that chosen. I waited to see how you played your character. So that in the moment was chosen. That was chosen in, and I just thought, because I'll pull up.
I've now done a lot of Ilmater research, so now
Yeah.
I feel very invested.
Just so everybody else knows, Ilmater is
Ilmater.
Ilmater is the god of endurance, and is often life and protection means. And symbol of Ilmater is the hands bound, the hands bound, and they're definitely known as, like, followers of Ilmater are known as martyrs, and often put themselves, and I just saw, maybe some of the viewers will understand this. I see a lot of Kaladin story lust. Just this person who his point of living is to protect those who need protecting. And so it makes sense to me that he did a job that was bodyguard, and it takes that very and so it just felt like Ilmater kind of and I kind of derailed the conversation. It's okay if you don't. Does anybody else have
I mean, I only have like one thing I feel like I can talk about, which is my relationship with Morton.
Yeah.
In particular, the conversation that they had under the stairs where Morton had stormed off after the
he couldn't go on the deck because it was sunny.
Yeah.
Couldn't go on the deck. For some reason, like, that just really I think because it was the first, because I'm living so deeply in character, having it be the first time that someone like specifically said "you are enough" to him was wonderful, and so like that is so far.
Oh, I love good RP creation. Those are the best. That's my bread and butter, especially when they're between players, and I can just like watch like who are so invested in this backstory, collaboratively made, and like current story.
Those are some of the like better moments that I enjoy. Like even when we always have the conversation after like a particularly tense conversation where you as a very good DM are like, y'all okay? And we're like, in the moment we're just like, go fuck yourself. You stepped into that, and then we're just like, no, we're fine. This is we love this moment. Like the entire deck of many things, first reveal, everything was so fun. And that
was a lot of emotional series of events.
It was so good. And then leading up to Achilles and Morton under the stairs, where Morton angrily just says truth, where he's just like, stop it, you're fine, you are fine as a person, get off your weak shit, you're better than you think you are. Like it leads to all of those kinds of moments, so all the RP moments, particularly
there's
like that
been some really great scenes between, usually specifically after some kind of like tense moment, the two of them checking in with each other. I know I've been a part of these. Yeah, there's been.
What's going on with Achilles's mom? Isn't she like? She's like kind of a torture wizard or something.
I'm gonna let.
Or am I thinking different?
No, she's not. She's not a torture wizard. She is an aberrant mind sorcerer, and because that was the very first class that I ever played in D&D, and Achilles is very much a mirror of that character, and I kind of wanted something to tie in something from my first character. And yeah, she's just a powerful sorceress that can do a bunch of mind nonsense, but she's cool.
She's a professor.
Yes,
Ruick's magic.
Yeah. That's right. I knew that there was some connection there. Yeah, because he might have stolen her book.
Yeah, didn't Morton steal her spell book or something?
I don't know why everyone's saying it so loud.
Maybe it was someone else's spell book. Maybe
we're not in character.
Someone else's.
Yeah. Okay. I just needed to be reminded of that detail.
Yeah.
I'm not writing it down.
Angie thinks Achilles' mom is hot.
Nope.
Angie thinks that any NPC I introduced,
she just looks
female
like
presenting is hot.
Kate Siegel.
She just looks like Kate Siegel, and Kate Siegel is like
hot.
The height of what
did we get a picture of your mom?
Within a woman.
Yeah.
No,
he sent it to me specifically
because
I guess I just have a
hot.
Oh
yeah, Zach knows what both his parents look like.
Yeah. Another question that I have for you all, a specific question, and if you have no thoughts, you can say no thoughts, but I'm just interested as to what your thoughts were on the Slayer 6.
I was introduced to them when they were horrible, so my thoughts were, what a bunch of punk bitches we had to fucking murk.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So that's the only experience I have with them.
I know what Angie's thoughts, or at least some thoughts. But truly, like, I know we've kind of talked about it, but how does Angie feel about that weird action?
It threw me off. It threw me 100% off because, again, I came into this campaign at a time in my life where I was just like, nope, I'm never dating again. It's gonna be great. And I'm like, I got a wife. I don't even have to like play romance. I can just like flirt with my wife and be cool, like blah blah blah. And then obviously like crazy things happen. And I actually really enjoyed the first couple moments, or like the moments where I was like, Rosie's main thing is like keeping in touch with her family, it kind of reminded me of Drigo and what the other what was your name? Pharaoh. I was like, not the lizard guy.
Yeah.
Lazo. But Pharaoh and Drigo, where it was like, cool, they have this established relationship. It's like very cute, blah, blah, blah. So it very much felt like that dynamic at first. And so I was not even entertaining that. And so I don't know if there were moments before where anybody was ever flirting with Rosie, but like that was like the first moment where just the way you said it, Zach, I was just like, what the fuck was that?
Funnily enough,
I don't know.
You did never catch on to it, by the way, but funnily enough, Cad was hitting on Cad Billwright, the owner of the Patchwork Caravan.
See, that's because it was a man.
Yeah.
Well, we also established on this ship that the half-orc was she?
Yeah,
I forget her name.
Was in.
Yeah.
She was into Rosie. Mud at the last session also indicated that he was into Rosie.
See, I wasn't there for that.
Right.
So I don't know that, but like I just
remember,
don't know.
Rosie's went on a little field trip with.
Because we were like, wait, Dune can just fucking kidnap us? Like, what's up?
He can kidnap Rosie.
Yeah.
That's right.
Speaking of Dune, just because we are running close to time, I have two more actual questions. The first one, it's for everybody, but I want to start with Angie.
Oh God.
The gods have called upon you for
a
very specific task. Thoughts?
Like, let's go. I don't have blind loyalty.
Yeah.
Angie doesn't.
Yeah.
So like gameplay wise, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, this is fun. Rosie needs a list of how this is going to look and how this is going to play out. She needs a structure. She needs to know like what her role is, what she needs to do. And I think that she's very worried because these guys couldn't even like get in tune with their gods. So like, how are they going to like be like the leaders of this universe? So there's some concern.
I have a thought on that. Anybody else? Do you have thoughts on what?
Maywin has been in touch with her god, and I wish that Rosie would acknowledge that.
I don't think you've told. Have you told her though?
For sure. Everyone needs to commune with her god. May's like, I have, and nobody pays attention.
I will say, I don't think it's a running bit. I think it might be something that happens because of Zoom or what, and it happens to me quite often. And I think it's fed into Maywin's character. But Emily will speak up on multiple occasions, and it just gets no response.
I feel like I would have written down May as my sweet little angel, but
okay. May saw a glowing unicorn traveling next to the party. She met her god after she died.
That's right.
Chad knows, because Chad, so you've had conversation.
Morton had a conversation with Mask when he died the first time.
I barely knew anything about mine like 48 hours ago, so not that big of a relationship yet.
Quinn's
gonna try to ignore it for as long as possible.
For sure.
Classic Quinn.
Of it.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, and the question that I'll leave you with before. Do you need to be in contact with your gods of their idea?
Isn't that what faith is?
The benefit of being the chosen of a neutral deity? Nah, you're good. You can chat with him sometimes.
Before I ask the last question, ask you all. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to know more about, or
what's gonna happen, man?
I can't.
Why isn't Mud chosen? He's such a good guy.
His name is Mud.
I'll be completely honest with you here because I very much plan on Mud not being around long.
See, Mud might kill Quinn.
Hey, if he does, he does. He's still not fucking chosen.
That would be a funny party dynamic to have one person who's... Edmund's not chosen.
Edmund is not chosen.
Never mind. All right, we already got...
Come on.
I mean, he is chosen, but not by a deity.
That's right. He's chosen by that.
Just the same way that Flint is chosen by 2.
Not a big deal. Question, Zach.
Yes.
Does Marble still love Flint?
Marble still love Flint.
Is there any chance it can get back together?
Okay. There is a lot of love for Flint in Marble. What I will say is that is a very, in her mind, that is a very platonic father of my child type love.
For now.
Yeah. For now. Yeah.
On that note, Zach/Matt, do you think there's any chance for that 24-hour fiance situation to come back again?
Oh my god.
Oh,
there's a
Iggy
chance.
Crystal.
There's a chance.
That was
Crystal's the big bad.
Yeah, Iggy Crystal was, yeah.
Can we talk about that? Yes, and for a minute.
Yeah.
Which one?
All of it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Zach.
Yes.
Why does Gilmarie think Sydney is hot? Out of everybody, Sydney's a baby.
Okay, first of all,
Sydney's not a baby.
Sydney's not a baby. She's an adult.
But like comparatively,
the species age differently. I don't know what you want from me.
I am mad about
it. And also, I will further iterate that the only thing that Gilmarie said was that Sydney was attractive. That's all she ever said. She didn't say, I want to fuck Sydney.
I don't know about that. What I wrote. I did just write that.
I think Gilmarie, Rosie, Quinn, and Sydney just need to
listen. I just think, to answer your question as plainly as I can, I think Gilmarie has eyes, bro.
I don't really even know if I know. I'm gonna see what Sydney. I'm gonna find what Sydney. Can you pop a picture of Sydney into the Discord real quick?
Yeah,
as everyone in Tayaroth, beyond the Hucks, fucking everyone's hot.
So hot.
Everyone is so ungodly hot in this world.
Which makes nobody hot. Right?
Yeah, and then can you maybe pop, while you're there, pop a picture of Tulia in there real quick too? Just
Flint is not hot. Flint, I like that Flint is like the ugliest, by far the ugliest person.
I don't know though. He's kind of got like
the ugliest person.
And like
for a dwarf, you know. I mean, he's a hot dwarf.
Yeah. Flint,
I will say,
and Morton was there. Morton saw the hard bod underneath the clothes in the worst yes and that.
Oh yeah, that is.
We've all seen Flint.
We never really discussed that in this. Is that they?
We don't. We did discuss
it. We discussed it in the bar when.
No, I'm saying in this talkback.
Oh, in this talkback, yeah, no, we didn't.
Well, Zach's
I didn't set up to be hot. It just the Midjourney thing made him hot, and then people had a strong reaction to it. So it was like,
yeah, so goddamn, like they're hot.
Yeah, Sydney's the black haired.
And is that Gilmarie?
No,
that's Tulia.
Who I was not there for that. Can someone explain to me the Tulia thing?
Tulia is a member of the Slayer Six who, like, when did we kill her? No, she wasn't with the people that we did kill, but she made a comment to Rosie, and now I can't remember it, but I'm sure I wrote it down. But it was like something like questioning her strength, and I was like, "Oh, I'm strong," and she's like, "I'd love to see it," or something.
Damn.
Flirty. What did I say? Oh, in the caravan with Corvo and Tulia, I kicked Tulia's chair, but she caught herself. And then I think that there was like a little interaction there of like, I was just like, damn it. And she was like, you got to do better than that or something. I don't know. It was hot. Angie was like, how fucking dare you? But Sydney's hot. Fine. It's okay.
Yeah, fundamentally.
Fine. I get it.
All right. So my last question, and I'm going to ask each of you this, but who am I up first? Let's say Evan. So the rest of you will have time to think of your answers. Evan, for our last question, if you as Evan Cullinan could sit down across from Morton Quinn and give him, what would you say?
Probably. Oh, okay. So I'd probably, if I had to give him a piece of advice, I'd be like, "Hey, man, you know what's really cool? Talking to people about your problems, and also, like, love it's okay who you are, and if you want to like make changes to the vampire thing, like that's fine. You don't need to keep doing what Wolfram's doing, because that's all you're doing right now is just being a murdering little psychopath. That's fine. Like, just don't do that. But honestly, if I sat down with Morton, I'd probably just have a conversation with him about his life, because he's lived a very interesting life.
Yeah, he was a wizard. 1,000. No, wait, no, sorry, that was
a different guy. That was a different guy who did objectively worse things.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd be like Morton, take care of the vampire thing.
Yeah.
Now, because that's the hang up that you're holding on to.
I would
honestly,
say that
the rest of him, he's fairly healthy as a human being, and like going with what he wants and how he and he like exists very almost has had like some almost not rosy level therapy sessions with people, but like has had like therapy conversations where people are like, Morton, what's up? And he's like, this is what I see from here, and like, because he didn't really have, the only unhealthy thing that he did was run away from his problems.
Yeah.
Like, and he kind of has been forced into running in those things head on, and now his problem is being a product of his environment and choosing to not do anything about it. So it's like, because he's still Wolfram's pet, because he didn't get the satisfaction of doing it and then did something Wolfram would have done.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I would give as advice to Morton, because for the most part, besides this glaring issue of being a monster, he truly, that's about it.
Yeah, I would say that everybody's character could be nice. I think everybody's character.
But then where would the fun
be? Exactly. Like me and Emily always joke around. It's like 95% of sitcom plot lines could be solved if people fucking talked to each other.
most movies too. Yeah. Most movies also could have, they'd be like over like that.
Yeah. Emily, you were sitting across from Maywin.
I think I would tell Maywin to just like get a little bit more comfortable making her own decisions. And even if she like loves Quinn and wants to be with Quinn and loves the group and wants to be with the group, maybe that's not actually what would bring her the most happiness.
The other twin?
I would say listen to May. Maybe a little bit more. Don't be so hard on yourself, and that maybe there's still a chance for you and Chad.
Hey, love that. Love a little undiscovered romance there.
We all want to see that.
We all know that's really.
We all know Quinn has a crush on Chad, so
yeah.
Quinn wants to be crushed by Chad.
Matt?
Marble's not going to take you back.
Just give that up.
But also, I think live a little more, or take time to appreciate the moments, because I think Flint has spent so long, trying to become an adventurer and obsessed with the way people see him or if they like him, and he's now an adventurer and he's doing incredibly world-changing, important things, but he's like still caught up in this kind of petty view of how people see him, and I think that is going to get him killed.
Yeah,
probably.
No, I think that's a great piece of advice. I Shale is even trying to say stuff like, "Dad, you're a cool dude." I think that's a good. Angie?
I would tell Rosie that despite how much you try, you can't do it all.
Yeah.
And so you have to make a choice.
And of course, last but certainly.
I think it would be care for yourself the way you care about everyone else in your life.
Ow.
And
Angie just heard that.
Gosh, how am I trying to word this? don't with your current situation, don't hang your not that go for it, but don't hang your self-worth on their opinion as well.
On a vampire.
Hey now.
Hey
now.
You're an all-star.
Basically, like it's okay if like you basically like, hey, celebrate this happening, but also like if it doesn't work out, don't take that as like a negative reflection on you as a person.
I don't think any of them are going to heed that advice, but
what would you tell Edmund?
What would I tell Edmund?
Oh god.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out. Just chill out, dude. You are really cool. You do cool shit. Who gives a fuck what anyone else thinks about you? Just chill out. Your boyfriend's a king.
For now.
No.
For now. Shit.
Flint can do anything that Edmund can do, by the way.
Yeah, except no.
Yeah, and Rosie can do what Morton tries to do when he tries to rush people with healing potions.
You want to know why Flint can't do everything that Edmund can do? Because Flint has 2 spell slots.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna go ahead and end this talk.
I mean, that cuts me deep.
But
sick burn.
Thank you all for the chat. It's talking about our characters. We'll hopefully have another talk back before the episodes now, but hey, if not, we'll see you then. So thank you for watching. Thank you guys for chatting. It's always fun to kind of like, even if they're like funny, silly situations, diving into. It's what I love about D&D. It's fun, it's time, but also. This coming Wednesday is the next episode of Curse of Strahd. Our full party will be back. So we will deal with making it to Slavia, whatever the name of that place was.
Basically,
yeah.
And right under the nose of. Wait, no, this is not right under the nose. Is it this?
Yes.
Or is
no?
It?
You've ventured a little further out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see what's going on there, and then come back here next Sunday at 2 p.m. For wrapping up of the tavern at the ball. Character's name, Michael?
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but basically just been at the ball the entire time, apparently, and just
great
for paying attention to us. So that's great, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, stay tuned at Charm Persons on all social media for more updates. Players a GM can ask for. And as always, everybody say bye!
Bye! Now, Matt, can we talk about what Flint's penis looks like?